For nearly 20 years, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were held up as proof that Hollywood love could actually last. He stood on stage not long ago, voice shaking, telling the world she had saved his life. And then, almost without warning, it was over. The internet rushed to explain it away with one explosive headline: cruel text messages that supposedly shattered the marriage. But here's the part no one questioned: those texts never existed. Not once. This couple didn't even text each other. So how did a story that was literally impossible become the most viral explanation for their breakup? And if it wasn't messages, betrayal, or a single dramatic moment, what really ended one of Hollywood's most admired marriages after nearly 2 decades? For nearly 2 decades, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were treated as the rare Hollywood couple that actually worked. While other marriages unraveled, theirs looked steady. She was an Oscar-winning actress known for control and longevity. He was a music star who had fought his way back from addiction. Together, they felt balanced and real. They avoided drama. Public appearances felt natural, not staged. Their daughter stayed mostly out of the spotlight, and both spoke openly about how much effort it took to stay connected while living demanding, separate careers. To fans, they weren't just famous. They were proof that commitment could survive fame. That belief was cemented when Keith publicly said Nicole had saved his life. The moment felt raw and unfiltered, not like a soundbite. For anyone who knew his past, it carried weight. This wasn't just love, it was survival, which is why what followed felt impossible. A marriage that had already survived the worst didn't collapse loudly. It cracked quietly, and those early fractures went unnoticed until everything finally fell apart. The divorce didn't arrive with drama. It arrived on paper. On September 30th, 2025, Nicole Kidman filed quietly in Nashville, ending a 19-year marriage in a single legal move. No warnings, no public buildup, just confirmation that one of Hollywood's most stable unions was suddenly over. What made it hit harder was how recent everything felt. They'd been seen together not long before, smiling for cameras, keeping up appearances. At the time, no one questioned it. Looking back, those moments feel different, measured, restrained, almost careful. Once the filing became public, silence took over. And in Hollywood, silence never lasts. Fans demanded answers, and speculation rushed in to fill the gap. Was there betrayal? A secret argument? Someone pulling away behind the scenes? Then one explanation spread faster than the rest. A headline so simple it felt undeniable. Cruel text messages that supposedly revealed what really broke them. It gave the public a villain, a victim, and a reason. The only problem was it wasn't possible. And once that truth surfaced, the entire story began to unravel. The cruel text story took over because it felt familiar. Headlines claimed Keith sent Nicole cold, cutting messages, then went silent when she confronted him. That silence was framed as the final betrayal. Simple, emotional, instantly believable. The story came from tabloids, known for stretching facts into drama. According to their version, Keith had turned private messages into song lyrics. And when Nicole realized it, she was devastated. His lack of response sealed the narrative. But there was one massive problem. Nicole had spent years saying she and Keith never texted. Not sometimes. Not rarely. Never. She explained it openly. Texts get misread, tone disappears, and meaning gets lost. They chose calls. Real conversations. That means the viral scandal was built on something that didn't exist. No messages. No screenshots. No trail. Just a story that sounded right in a world trained to believe relationships end through phones. And once that falls apart, the question changes. If it wasn't cruel texts, then whatever broke this marriage didn't happen on a screen. It happened quietly, long before anyone noticed. The last time Nicole and Keith were seen together was in June 2025 at a soccer match in Nashville. On the surface, it looked normal. In hindsight, it felt distant. Not long after, reports surfaced that Keith had moved out while Nicole was away filming in London. There was no announcement, no confrontation, just physical separation happening in silence. Even their 19th wedding anniversary passed unevenly. Nicole shared a heartfelt post. Keith responded with a single heart emoji. At the time, fans brushed it off. Later, it felt like emotional withdrawal. By August, the legal process was already in motion. Keith had signed divorce paperwork before Nicole, signaling the end privately while she was still holding on. When Nicole finally signed in September, it hit all at once. The marriage was over, and she hadn't seen it coming the same way. The clearest red flag wasn't betrayal. It was timing. Keith was moving step by step. Nicole was still trying to save something. And that disconnect, more than any message or rumor, exposed how far apart they'd already grown. While the marriage was quietly slipping away, Nicole was already carrying heavy grief. In 2024, she lost her mother, a blow that reshaped everything. As she tried to process that loss, her relationship was unraveling at the same time. Grief doesn't pause life, and for Nicole, it collided with distance at home. Friends later said she felt overwhelmed, blindsided, and emotionally exposed. Around the same period, her career surged again. She took on bold roles, stepped back into the spotlight, and reasserted her independence. That shift created tension. Keith appeared uncomfortable with the renewed attention on Nicole, especially as her public image grew more daring. Subtle moments stood out: evasive interviews, a missing wedding ring on stage. None of it proved wrongdoing, but suggested unease. Two people who once moved in sync were now operating at different speeds. Nicole was grieving and reaching. Keith was pulling back and detaching. And that imbalance deepened the silence between them, just as pressure from the outside world began to close in. As the distance between them grew, rumors rushed in to fill the silence. By mid-2025, whispers around Keith's touring life started circulating online. Fans speculated he was growing close to someone within his inner circle, a young guitarist on tour. No proof, just chatter amplified by timing and tension. The gossip exploded after a concert moment that set social media on fire. During a performance of a song long associated with Nicole, fans claimed Keith altered a lyric to include another name. Whether intentional or misheard, the clip spread fast. To supporters of Nicole, it felt humiliating. To critics, it looked careless. The guitarist's family quickly denied anything inappropriate, calling the rumors unfair and harmful. And to be clear, no allegations were ever proven. But the damage wasn't about facts. It was about perception. Online, the narrative was already forming. For Nicole, already grieving and facing a collapsing marriage, the speculation added fuel to the fire. True or not, the whispers hardened public opinion and turned a private separation into a public judgment. And just when things couldn't feel heavier, another detail surfaced, one that wasn't rumor at all. Buried inside their prenup was a clause that changed everything. It was created years earlier, back when Keith was rebuilding his life after addiction. To protect that progress, the agreement included a sobriety clause. For every year Keith remained sober, he would receive a financial payout if the marriage ever ended. At the time, it made sense. Recovery is fragile. Accountability mattered. And for nearly 2 decades, Keith honored that commitment, often crediting Nicole for standing by him through it all. But when a marriage collapsed, the clause flipped. 19 years of sobriety translated into a massive payout, reportedly around $11 million paid by Nicole. The very success they once celebrated together suddenly became part of the fallout. What was meant to safeguard their future became one of the most bitter details of their separation. Support turned into resentment. Progress became a price tag. And just like that, one of their greatest shared victories became a painful dividing line. As the financial details surfaced, the custody arrangement added another layer of shock. On paper, the split looked stark. Nicole was listed as the primary residential parent, with their daughters spending the vast majority of the year with her, while Keith's time was limited to a fraction by comparison. To the public, the numbers felt brutal. Fans questioned how a father who spoke so often about family could be present so little. But insiders pointed out a quieter truth. Keith's life revolved around touring, airports, and months on the road. Nicole's work, while demanding, allowed for longer stretches at home. In reality, the agreement reflected how their lives already functioned. One rooted in daily routines, the other in constant movement. What once felt complementary had become incompatible. Seeing it spelled out in legal terms made the collapse impossible to ignore. This wasn't just a breakup. It was the formal separation of two lives that had slowly drifted too far apart to fit back together. When the noise fades, what's left isn't a scandal. It's a slow unraveling. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban didn't fall apart because of cruel texts. Those messages never existed. Their marriage ended through silence, misalignment, and two lives drifting out of sync. There was grief layered on top of distance, career shifts that changed the balance, rumors that filled gaps where communication failed. Even their greatest shared triumph, years of sobriety and survival, became a dividing line in the end. The cruel text headline spread because it was easy. The truth was harder to accept. Love rarely collapses in one explosive moment. More often, it erodes quietly while the world is still applauding. And maybe that's the real takeaway. In a relationship built on avoiding miscommunication, the deepest break wasn't something said, it was everything that went unspoken. If you want more stories that cut through the headlines and get to what really happened, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one.